Welcome to the Kindness Chronicles, where once again we hope to inject the world with a dose of the Minnesota kindness that it desperately needs. It is a lovely spring day out here in Matamidi, Minnesota. We got Jeff back there. Hi,
Hey guys.
Jeff.
How are you?
Steve Brown. How are you?
I'm all right.
And KG is doing some family
He's
stuff
recovering
today,
too.
and he's recovering from
Huge.
it was a tough night last night for the Wild. But we're not going to talk sports.
Oh,
Because
okay.
I've heard from a few people that said, enough with the sports.
You don't,
This is the
you don't
Kindness
want me to be
Chronicles.
intimidated?
Intimidated, yes, that's exactly the word.
That's BS.
But before we get started with our topic for the day, we've got some big news to announce regarding the popularity
Yes.
of the Kindness Chronicles. There is
What I found today before I came over here, I was noticing that our podcast made it on a list.
a list.
Not just any list. This is the
Is it a long list?
Feed Spot podcasts.
Oh, yeah.
Not that anyone knows what that is.
Oh, but I do.
But they made a list together from 2026, all the podcasts about kindness. In
Okay.
that they call it the kindness space. We're in the
Wow.
kindness space.
Well,
Ooh.
as our name would suggest.
So 30 best kindness podcasts
For 2026.
for 2026. This came out May 4th, so this year, from Feed Spot Podcast.
Well, who's number one?
Look, well, hold on. Our kindness podcast list is what you need. Your ranking for kindness podcasts, we've considered, this is their criteria. We've
You need
considered
these glasses?
for their following, for their engagement, their ratings, reviews, listener counts, freshness, as
Wow.
well as overall influence in the kindness space. So we are number 2.
What?
Yeah. In the I mean, I think this is world.
Thank you so much, FeedSpot.
Yeah. Feed
Yeah.
Spot. We're
So
number
that-
2.
that-
Our little podcast, number 1 is Circle Round. I don't know what that is. We are number 2. The Kindness Chronicles. Number 3 is
We
the
don't have to
Gabby
go through the
Roslin
whole list.
podcast.
That's just fine.
Reasons to be
Let's-
joyful.
Yeah, it tells you something about the fact that there are way too many podcasts
Yeah.
out there. I mean, just the fact that they were able to find 30 podcasts in the kindness
but
space.
somebody's keeping track.
Somebody's keeping track, and we're number 2.
Hey,
that's
what do
I
they
am
say
not
about number
complaining.
2?
It's fantastic. Number 2.
Yes.
It's so cool. I think it's just kind of an honor
No,
to
and it really is.
because
and
of our
we've-
listeners, really.
and we've had some nice reviews. So what do you say, Jeff?
Smash the
subscribe.
on our YouTube channel. That would be great. We're
And yeah,
over 30 subscribers now.
Fantastic.
And
Yeah.
we're just trying to keep it consistent.
you
Whatever
like it
the
or not, we're gonna keep doing it.
But all kidding aside, we do have several thousand unique listeners that listen to this podcast. So
Yes, and I would suggest not just subscribing to our Facebook page, join us in that, but also subscribe to the YouTube channel where you can see all these on video that Jeff's helped us make it look fantastic. But
they don't make us look fantastic.
Well,
I think you guys look
it
great.
makes
Thank
the
you,
video,
Jeff.
it makes it more compelling and
it is
cool.
the Kindness Chronicles.
It brings us right down to this cozy little basement,
right.
which is
Yeah.
cool. But I would ask them also to review us. Give us a review.
only
give
good
us-
reviews.
Just
if
give
you
us
don't like
feedback.
us, just forget about that.
Well,
request.
remember that we are number 2. So
That's
like,
true. Yeah.
No, but that really helps too. Like if people give us reviews, that helps boost us, and spread the word. Tell people about us, and if ideas for guests, please find
Yeah.
us.
Comment. All the comments are open. Nothing shut off. So you
I think
can
it's pretty cool.
Provide us feedback, and we've gotten some comments, and it's been helpful.
Yeah.
Can I just talk a little bit about what I experienced this weekend? Starting on Wednesday, the fine folks at the Masonic Children's Hospital put on a gala, and it's a series of events. And I was able to attend the kickoff event on Wednesday at a place called Spoon and Stable, I think it's called. Really good.
Sounds delicious.
It was delicious, and there was a lot of wine being consumed, and there was this lovely couple that sat across the table from us, and we started talking about wines, and the lady said, "Well, tell us about your wine cellar." And I said, "Well, that's our son Ben's bedroom." And it's in cardboard boxes. Our wine cellar isn't really what you might expect of a wine cellar. But anyway, the point of this is
Humidity controlled.
they raised something like $2.5 million over the course of the weekend. And,
Cha-ching.
one way for people to show kindness is through philanthropy.
Yeah.
Excuse
That's
me.
pretty. That's a pretty big price.
It was a big number. I met the guy who started Unreal, the apparel company.
Yeah.
He and his wife made a very big donation. Yeah, it was just a lovely event.
Spoon and
a
Stable.
series of
Where is
events.
that, by the way?
You know,
I don't think I've been there. Is it north,
what do they call that?
northeast,
No, the
downtown?
warehouse district.
Oh,
Warehouse
yeah.
District. Okay.
What do they call that? North Loop.
North Loop. Yeah.
North Loop-ish.
A lot of good stuff
No,
over there.
actually, it wasn't North Loop. It was that was a different event. I was at many events.
Spoon and
Wow.
Stable.
Yeah,
This
you do.
Spoon and Stable is kind of by the Federal Reserve.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
So kind
By
of.
origami or whatever it was called over there.
Well, there's a really good place called Billy Sushi.
Oh.
Oh my God! Pack a credit card if you go there for.
Is it the
dinner.
place that used to be that is right next to the Federal Reserve building? Because there used to be one that was there forever. Maybe they changed over. I haven't
I
been
don't know,
over
it's
there.
the new Federal Reserve building. Apparently, there was an old one. You know what? Let's not talk about this anymore.
I used to be in the Warehouse District all the time.
Why?
Back, Orphan Records was there, which is the
Oh.
record company we recorded at. It was, you had to find a coffee shop around there. Moose and Sadie's is the only thing around there. It was warehousey, back in the early 90s.
Hey, I was up in St. Cloud and stayed at a hotel that overlooked the red
yeah.
carpet.
Yeah, I saw that.
Huh?
You sent me
That's
that.
kind of where all the
I was
magic
wondering
happened.
where that came
Yes,
from.
and I got a big announcement.
Hold on. Do we need to?
Yeah, we need to brace yourself. We are going back to the red carpet. They've asked us back to
When?
play a show in October, the 3rd, I believe. It's a Saturday, October 3rd,
October 3rd. Hold on.
in St. Cloud.
See if I'm
That's
available.
the birthplace of our band, basically. We'd had a great time last year. We brought a ton of people out there. So we want to get our Kindness Nation to come out to join the Clueless Nation.
Nation.
Oh.
Very good.
We'll have a nation building.
Do you have other gigs this summer
Yes, we're playing for the same festival we played last year, which was the
at camping one?
Hutchinson. Yeah, it's a River Song Music Festival in Hutchinson on July 10th, I believe it's Saturday or Friday the 10th.
Very nice. There's
And then we
a,
got something else maybe in Montemita later on, but yeah, we got a couple shows.
Very fun. Another announcement.
Big announcement time
if
here.
people are interested, Wednesday, May 20th
Ooh.
at the Masonic Heritage Center,
And that's coming up fast.
11411 Masonic Home Drive in Bloomington.
Yeah.
We are having our live scholarship night, and we're going to be visiting with some of our Selfless Scholar nominators and surprising their nominees.
Yeah.
So it should be a lovely affair.
This
It's
is
free
second
of
annual
charge.
for the Kindness Chronicles,
yes, it
folks.
is. There's going to be heavy hors d'oeuvres. We hope to see Nick Flood again. That's where we were
Yeah.
surprised by Nick Flood. Nick, I hope you're listening.
He's
We'll
listening.
be very disappointed if you don't show up.
I know. It'd be fun to
Put
see
on-
him
Get there
again.
early,
Pressure
though.
on
The
him to show up.
appetizers. KG's going to be there because I mentioned appetizers, heavy hors d'oeuvres.
Oh, man. It'd be great to have Kiji there. People would love to see him out there.
Yeah. We might put him out in the audience and have him interview people between
That's what he
periods.
does.
That's what he does. That's what he does best. We have kind of a fun thing to do tonight
Yeah.
for the show.
Yeah.
We got a lot of good feedback on going through the Rob Reiner movies.
Did we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you not get any feedback?
As you know, I don't
Do
get
you
much
not have
feedback.
any friends? Do people not want to talk to you? Just Clueless Nation,
I
not
have,
Kindness
I have
Nation?
quite a bit of friends. Not a whole lot of them listen to this
What's
show.
wrong with those people?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I have a few, and they come out of the woodwork and like, oh, I had no idea you were listening. So yes, they're out there. I just
Well, maybe
don't.
this
I don't get
topic will
feedback.
appeal to him.
I don't
Well,
get feedback.
So
It probably
the
will.
feedback was, it's fun talking about movies because people that have seen those movies can
Yes.
relate to them.
Yes.
And Jeff, who is also a
It's a movie
cinema
fanatic.
lover,
A cineast. they call
Cinephile.
a cinephile,
him. A cineast.
Cineast?
cineast.
I don't know if that's a word Dan Aykroyd uses when he was talking about John Landis and the guy who did Ghostbusters. They call him cineasts.
Like the how he
They're
parlayed that right
enthusiasts.
into the
This
topic.
is just speaking of John Landis, he did another movie. And why don't you introduce our topic for today
Okay.
and how
Yeah.
it relates to our kindness space?
In a
podcast.
cineast movement.
So I'm a drummer. I've been playing drums since I was 12 years old, and I don't remember exactly how I got introduced to the Blues Brothers. I remember hearing Soul Man. That was their number one hit off.
It's
their
on the radio,
Briefcase Full of
yeah.
but I found that cassette and I listened to it, and I just loved the horns and I loved the rhythm section. And By
an
the
energy.
time I was a senior in high school, we put on a Blues Brothers performance for the talent show. And then I was in a blues band at UMD called Dr. Soul and the Blues Hounds. We named it after the Muppet. You remember Dr. Mayhem,
Yeah.
Dr. Teeth and the Electric Mayhem. Anyway, we had horns. We modeled it right after the Blues Brothers. We put their hats on, and I've just always been intrigued with that band. And I recently found this great Audible program called Blues Brothers: The Arc of Gratitude by Dan Aykroyd.
This is a journey through American music, centered around the recordings and performances of the Blues Brothers. These stories from myself and my friends and colleagues are told to the best of our recollection.
And he basically tells the whole story of how he and John Belushi met, the origin story of it. And so I have a little thing here that I wrote out. The roots of the Blues Brothers really began when Dan Aykroyd first met John Belushi at Toronto's Second City in the early 1970s. Belushi burst into the theater one snowy night, already carrying his larger-than-life presence. After the show, everyone gathered at a cast party where blues music was blasting from the turntable. Belushi stopped and asked, "What is this?" And Aykroyd introduced him to the deep roots of Chicago blues, knowing that John could sing while also telling him he was learning the amplified harmonica and maybe they should form a band.
The classic initial appearance and meeting which led to a collision of astral bodies, and for us both, a rewarding and bittersweet, almost decade-long friendship.
Just learning about how he revived careers of all these former blues musicians and revived their careers and got them present again. Aretha Franklin, James Brown. We'll talk about them throughout the
huge
movie.
list of
But
musicians.
Cab Calloway.
Yep.
I've got some pictures. This was Dan Aykroyd at Second City in Toronto when John came up and met with them.
You can only see this on our YouTube. So join
right.
the
Yeah.
30
There's
watchers.
great visuals on this
That's
one.
right.
So
And then they went
join,
back.
you have to subscribe to watch
and
it. I
this
think.
was the 505 Queen Street where Dan lived, and he had a speakeasy. He basically lived in the basement, but he said when one interview he was making more than the Prime Minister of Canada, because I think just they had the bar open all night long, and it was illegal, but people walked in, and there would be famous people that would frequent that. And then that was where John and he met, and that became the origin of the story. So anyway, we've got some slides here. When do you guys remember first hearing Soul Man or the Blues Brothers?
I think I saw it on TV for the first time. Once it was already in the theaters, the Blues Brothers music, I think the music came out even before. I think they were so popular on SNL that I think they put on an album with these classic musicians. Donald Duck Dunn, who was a very famous bass player from I can't think of all the names now, but Matt Guitar Murphy, all these great players. They actually were SNL band people. They were part of the band. So they kind of integrated them in the whole thing. So the act was big on SNL. Then they put on an album, and the album was huge. It was on the radio. I remember hearing it all the time in the late 70s, like 79, 80.
Yeah, it was around 78, I think.
Yeah,
because Steve Martin had
Yes.
them open for him out
Yes.
in the Universal Theater in LA or something, and it just became huge. It was
So
like a 4-night
as a
run.
10-year-old in 1980, I was into Steve Martin. I was into the blues.
Totally.
That was my
Do you have one of those arrow things that went through
no,
your
but
head?
I loved his silly humor. I loved it.
Did you ever buy his comedy albums? A Wild and Crazy.
100%.
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah.
Listen to him. We listened to
God.
him over and over.
So that was
again.
my era too. And then the Blues Brothers movie came out. Oh my God, I loved it. And I had a friend of mine, Steve Leonardson. He's a Montevideo guy. I've talked about him before. He and I don't know. We both really got into that movie, and we watched that movie a bunch of times. So, yes, and then I rented it. I watched it a million times after that. It's full of great comedic moments, physical comedy between these two guys, John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd, and the cast is huge.
Yeah.
As well as the music is so good and fun and intoxicating. And I learned a lot about blues. I learned a lot. I didn't even realize who those people were, but I liked all those characters. As I went through life, I was like, oh, that was Ray Charles.
Yeah,
I
that
didn't
was
know. I was
Aretha
10, you know?
Franklin.
So it became bigger and bigger in my life, and it stood out as a classic movie for me. It's really still really funny and really good.
And what's really interesting about the movie is, the celebration of the culture that blues is.
Yes.
And the fact that, all of these artists, in many respects, we had talked earlier about the fact before the podcast, before we hit record, that, disco was a big deal.
Yeah.
And this kind of gave a revival to the careers of many of those people.
Yeah.
And, just what, what
They were
incredible
due.
cast. Like, you didn't realize, the first time I saw it, like you, I didn't realize how important that cast was in the music world.
Yes.
There was a
Foundational.
thing,
A lot
yeah,
of them.
there was,
James Brown.
there was
Stax Volt was a label. Motown was in Detroit and Stax Volt was Memphis. And what was unique about this band was they fused New York musicians, the horn players, the Blue Lou Marini and Alan Rubin, with Donald Duck Dunn and Steve Cropper, who were down
Cropper.
in Memphis. And that had never been done before. It was unique to them, and it worked really well.
This is kind of I mentioned this before the podcast too, is that what happened in the 70s was that all these British bands and some American bands, but they basically took blues music and put it on high octane.
Sure.
It was hard rock, but it was blues music.
Right.
Sure.
I mean, when you hear
Zeppelin,
the
words,
that's all it was.
they're all
The
motivated.
Stones, everybody. And there was a story, I don't remember which, it was the Rolling Stones, I believe. They're in a record, they were touring some record place in America. They were 20-some-year-old age guys, these famous British guys in America. And they saw like Johnny Hooker painting a hallway at Checker Records.
Yeah.
And they're like, what are you doing? And they took him out and they said,
What?
Johnny Hooker or someone like that, who was like
A legend.
a legend, just trying to make money, trying to do what he could. So this movie is what made blues cool again. It brought it
Absolutely.
back into like where they get their due and what makes them so unique and so amazing. So that is overall, that's just a kindness thing that he threw some energy towards something that really is well deserved and incredibly entertaining and fun to watch. And
John
Just
Lee
kinda-
Hooker is, if that's who we're talking
Yeah.
about, is
Yep.
playing in front of the Soul Food Cafe during the movie. He's the-
How,
yeah, exactly.
that's
And
him.
There was another famous harmonica guy that they put next to him, but very historical, footage right here, just getting him to play there.
Where is the Soul Food Cafe in the real
Chicago.
world? It is in Chicago?
Yep, it's in Chicago, and all I know is it's Maxwell Street, and you see a little flash of it. But during that Arc of Gratitude audiobook, he talks about the significance of that.
Can we
culture.
talk about the Penguin?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the scene where they go back to see the Penguin
That's
after
right.
leaving Joliet Correction Center.
Yeah,
And
gets out of prison.
Elwood picks him up in the new Bluesmobile. Jake is frustrated because he sold the Cadillac and traded it for a microphone. And he's like, what is this? The cigarette lighter doesn't even work. And my own brother picks me
Picks
up
him
in
up
a
in a
cop car
cop car.
from my last day of jail. So, but I loved it because they hug. And then they are off. He proves to him that the Bluesmobile's got the cop shocks and all the capabilities. But yeah,
Yeah.
they brought him to the orphanage where the two of them grew up.
What are we doing here? You promised you'd visit the Penguin the day you got out.
Yeah? So I lied to her.
You can't lie to a nun.
it's one of the greatest,
Woman is so good.
one of the greatest scenes because they start cussing, and she's got the
They're going back to their orphanage where they grew up. Yes.
Yep. They refer to the nun as the Penguin, and who was the guy that was the janitor?
Boys, you gotta learn not to talk to nuns that way. Jake! Elwood!
You look fine,
That's Curtis.
Cab Calloway.
Cab
Cab
Calloway
played by,
Kurt.
yes, he was a janitor and took care of him, and it taught him about the blues. Dan Aykroyd wrote sort of the backstory behind Elwood and Jake, and they grew up in this orphanage, and they had to steal because they didn't have a lot growing up, and they didn't learn, right from wrong a lot of times, but they did the best they could. And that's what makes this scene so funny, because they're looking at the crucifix on the way up to see the Penguin. And then she comes back and, chastises them and tells them that, I'm disappointed with your bad attitudes and filthy mouths, basically.
Having a little fun with the Catholic religion growing up.
But they acknowledge that
Curtis, you and the Penguin are the only family we got. You're the only one that was ever good to us. Singing Elmore James tunes and blowing the harp for us down here.
Well, the sister was right. You boys could use a little churching up.
The Penguin and Curtis were really the only family that they had.
yeah.
Exactly.
So there was a
Gave
lot
him
of
love and taught him a lot of
there
good
was
stuff.
a lot of love from that Penguin with her
Disciplinary
with her
love,
yardstick.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like how she floats out of the room.
Oh God, it's so
Door
well
slam.
done.
But ultimately, Curtis said, you guys need to go check out the Triple Rock Church and cleanse your soul, basically. You've got some hate in you and you need to get it out.
And
this
they
is
get
where-
filled with the Holy Spirit, and
The
all of a sudden
sunlight.
they're doing cartwheels, flips down the middle of the aisle.
And James Brown's going, "Do you see the light?" And they're
so
like,
great.
"Yes, yes, I see." He does a
And they
million
start
backflips.
doing that dancing thing
Oh,
with
the
their
dance
feet.
scenes are amazing in this movie.
It's-
Not just this church dance scene, which I
How
loved
nimble
it.
those
out on
two
the street,
big boys
all
were.
it's so good. It's so good.
Oh, the
I know.
choreography.
All
out
the
in street,
choreography.
yeah. And
Huge movie. This movie was huge. In fact, this is a little later on. We could talk about it, but the record for cop cars wrecked.
Oh,
This
yeah,
movie,
I heard that.
This movie had some record number of cars that they used smashed up. It's to a super comedic quantity where it's like, oh my God, they got, it's ridiculous. And that's what's so funny about it.
It was budgeted for 15 million. It ended up spending 27 million. But
They wrecked
John
an entire
Landis-
mall.
Yeah,
They ran
that's
through
right.
a mall.
That's right. The mall was shut down, but so they could do that. But,
Right.
it
But it
was
was-
what a great. Yeah,
Oh
it was
my
such
God.
a great
It's
scene.
a huge movie.
Dan Aykroyd said it couldn't be made today.
Okay, so they're on their kindness adventure to save their orphanage based on their spiritual reckoning, and so Dan, John Belushi's character,
yeah, they
He
got
basically is born again.
Yeah, he's ready to
He's
just-
got inspired to raise the money and start the band. Let's get the band back together again. That's
so then they're on their mission to find the band to get them together, which is not an easy
And
task.
isn't the line, we got a tank of gas, a half a pack of smokes, it's dark out, and we're wearing sunglasses?
yes,
Hit it?
That's
Yeah.
right. That's
Let's
right.
roll.
Let's roll. Yeah, it's and really it's just such a joyful movie and hilarious.
Yeah, you're rooting
but there
for
are,
them.
There
yeah.
are those themes. We talk about the Kindness Chronicles. There are themes of redemption and
Loyalty.
friendship and loyalty, and the fact
Adversity.
that Carrie Fisher, Princess Leia, this is in between Star Wars and The Empire Strikes Back.
That's right.
Yeah.
I mean, she was one of the biggest movie
She's a huge
stars
star.
in the
Yeah.
world. And at the time, there's a story that she was choking on set and Dan Aykroyd saved her from choking. And
Wait, I heard you say that, but was she was choking or Dan Aykroyd?
No,
choking?
she was choking and
Oh,
Dan
I'm
Aykroyd
sorry, I
saved
misunderstood.
her.
Oh my God.
And they fell in love and got engaged,
Aw.
and they didn't get married, but they were engaged. They met
Yeah.
originally in '78 on SNL
okay.
when she
Okay.
was on there.
That was her first.
She
appearance.
was so great because she's this odd character
Oh,
that
the
keeps
oddest
coming up
character.
to try to kill John Belushi. It's so
yeah,
great.
they have all these enemies along the way.
Yes.
And so she's the mystery girl, I think, in the credits. You never really get to meet her, but
Just a
they're along
scorn
this,
lover, basically. Yeah.
their first stop to try to track down the band.
Ma'am, do you have a Thomas Malone or Louis Marini living here?
Did they leave a forwarding address, phone number?
No,
Did they live quietly? What were their personal habits?
they were good boys, but they made a lot of racket at night. Are you the police?
No, ma'am. We're musicians.
This is Tarantino. Dan Aykroyd actually got a criminal justice degree in college. And so he borrowed a lot of, his knowledge of criminal justice and all the things he's interested in to kind of piece together the story. He was Catholic educated as a kid, so that brought out when he stayed in Chicago, he heard about Cook County, and someone said, "Gosh, the Catholic Church should bail out Cook County," and he's like, "Huh, that's an idea." And that's how they structured the whole plot of this thing. But anyway, I love Murph and the Magic Tones, and it's an empty room, and it reminded. When you were talking about playing for an empty room with
Oh,
Johnny
my Lord.
Clueless, I thought immediately of this scene.
Thank you. You're marvelous. You're marvelous. Thank you. I'm Murph, and these are the Magic Tones.
On the road is what it is. And you have to. So
Yeah,
just
didn't you play an empty room like
Many.
in Los Angeles? Didn't you play like the Whiskey Go Go or the
we played the Whiskey a Go Go and we played CBGB's in New York.
and
to very minimal
very-
amounts of people.
but that didn't last long.
What you
Because
what you
Johnny
have to do though,
Clueless-
what you have to do when you play to an empty room, you have to find someone that you can key into, that they are actually
What
listening.
if there's
they're
only
digging it.
one?
You have to feed
Yeah.
off that energy. You have to feed off their energy, and if you can't, then you have to feed off of a bartender or a waitress's energy, where they're like, you have to get their attention and make them go, huh. That's how you get them. Then
You
and then
think
they're
the
like,
red
these guys are
pants have
good.
anything to do with
What?
getting the red pants? Does
No,
that have anything to do with getting their attention?
no,
Okay, just wondering.
no. That's
but
that's
it's
a
good,
later
it's a good
thing.
lesson in life to bring good karma and good energy to whatever you do, and hopefully it feeds
Yes.
off of
There
the
you
rest
go.
of them.
My bandmate, my
We're
one
finding
bandmate, who's
themes here. There are themes.
my one bandmate would look at me. He's like, in a room like this where there's nobody. He look at me and I'm just pouring it on. He's like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
I go, "Hey, I have to do this because these people are watching." And I've told you this before. If you make a waiter or waitress or someone that works on staff, really, if you really turn them on to your music, that's better than any poster, any promotion you can do, because they're like, "Oh, these guys were here last year and no one was here, but they tore the roof up." That's what you got to do. Anyway,
Word of mouth. I love it. Word of
it's
mouth
important.
advertising.
But yeah,
So then they go to this fancy restaurant and get their trumpet player. He kind of had a negative attitude, probably because he had the highest paying job of all of them.
Yeah,
but
he was
then
fancy.
They then got Matt Guitar Murphy at the Soul Food restaurant along with Blue, who was working in the back. And this is where
Aretha did not want him to
Franklin-
go.
Now, you're not going back on the road no more, and you ain't playing in them old two-bit sleazy dives.
Ma'am, would it make you feel any better if you knew that what we're asking Matt here to do is a holy thing?
You see, we're on a mission from God.
Adam Carolla said once on a podcast interview, God, I loved how you guys just kind of danced with her like it was part of the deal, and then you went and sat back down in the chair again. There was all these little nuances throughout the movie that make you laugh.
Being there, sitting and just turning on the stool and what we just watching Aretha. And when she started to sing and started to move, she looked so cute. A combination of amusement and awe just hit my stomach, and I froze. And John moved, and then I overcame it, and then we did it. But I was awed by her talent.
Ray's Music Exchange, to me, this is where they played Shake Your Tail Feather.
Yes.
And I love this scene, and I have a little story to show, and I got the capture. But, you know, it's obviously Ray Charles.
He's like, "There's nothing wrong with this piano."
Now look at
Love
the
it.
back in the back, and I learned this through that Audible. The L train actually stopped, and it wasn't even planned. But the Chicago City knew this was filming, and the pilot or the captain of the L train stopped, and everyone got out and danced. So you can see them back there. It's a couple of short.
Yeah.
You are
scenes, but
kidding me.
The whole city got involved in this movie, and that's another kindness theme, I think. So
This is Ferris Bueller kind of copied this idea.
that's
in Chicago.
true. I never thought of that.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a great dance sequence. It's so great. All the different dances they're doing. It's like, oh, what is that? Oh, that's the whatever. So good.
Yeah.
I love Ray Charles.
So
And it is a celebration of Chicago too. which
It is.
cool.
It is. Yeah.
what movie is without an enemy or really evil people trying to stop you, and that's these Illinois Nazis, and they they dumped them off into the water during their protest.
I like how Dan Aykroyd had to say, or I don't know which one said, but he goes, "I hate Illinois Nazis,"
Yeah.
as opposed to other Nazis.
Yeah.
He really singles them out as the worst Nazis.
God.
But only one of the group of people that were coming at them.
And how about that right in front of Wrigley Field?
Great.
Isn't that cool? They kept giving like the parole officer, that was their little shtick. They'd give them the address. I think it was something Addison Lane,
Yes,
and they'd end up
yes.
at Wrigley Field. But I loved. And then there was other enemies, so they ended up getting in the Bob's Country Bunker gig. They were just pulling things out of
That's my
thin air
life.
to try and make it work, but they did. They made that gig an awesome gig because the Good Old Boys was a band that was supposed to play instead, and the Blues Brothers, being such great musicians, adapted and played Rawhide. And
That's also what you got to do. And I think this was a very memorable scene for me in my life as I lived as a band guy, because you have to adapt to the room. Sometimes there's fights going on. You have to just kind of
Did you
deal with
ever
it.
play behind chicken wire?
Never had to do that. No,
Okay.
no. I don't think I like the glass flying everywhere.
The
But
glass flying, and they just keep playing is
you gotta
classic.
you got to find songs and things that connect to people, and that's what they did.
And they ended up owing $100 to the bar after, and so that's where they
It's a lot of beer you boys drink.
They escaped. But anyway, they had
Yes.
then they had a sauna with this guy named Maurice Line who could hook them up. That would be your Kevin. What's his last
Kevin
name?
Daly.
Right. So
That's Steve Lawrence.
Steve Lawrence. Yeah,
That's right. And
That's Kevin Daly. Yes, for us, helping us get that big gig to land the
at
big
the Palace Hotel Ballroom, which is here way up in Lake Winnepenaughin or whatever he said. But this is another kindness theme where the orphans are helping out, and they're combing the streets and trying to get them.
Yeah, Cab said these Jake, my friends Jake and Elwood, they grew up here just like you. He's talking to the orphans, and he got them out plastering posters and spreading the word.
It was a family affair for sure. So
and the scene with the megaphone on top of the
it's ladies' night tonight.
everything they steal half of everything they did just to make it work, but it worked for them. They
Have you
somehow
guys
get away with
side
it.
note? You guys been to Universal Studios to see there's a show that goes on. They have the
cool.
Bluesmobile. There's a roving show that goes around the park. And
Oh,
it puts on
really?
a whole. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Oh,
you
neat.
would love it. Yeah, it's right up your alley.
I bet it's like the chicken and the tail feather thing where they're dancing on the car and just doing street.
Yeah, they just pull up and get out of their car, and the music comes on, and everybody starts dancing, flash
Look
mob
at the
style.
Culligan Water Place.
I
in the
saw that, yeah.
background. Interesting.
You two girls, remember that?
Yeah.
So anyway, they
Steve Cropper.
put on a great show. It started off rocky. People didn't really know what to expect, but then they started getting really into it, and they ended up getting the recording contract by Clarion Records, $10,000 advance,
Which is what they
everything
needed.
worked out. They needed their 5, and then they paid the rest to the band, and so pretty cool. And
Well,
then
also, it's so comedic. John Candy's in it. Like, so many people are in it. It's
Orange
so
Whip.
comedic. They're like superheroes because Carrie Fisher blows up the building they're in. They climb out of it, and they don't even question. They just go, "Huh?" They
Yeah.
brush off and just get in their car. I thought that was so funny as a 10-year-old kid. Like, how
I
did they
think
not
it
get
is
hurt?
as a 58-year-old.
And they got their suits, and they just brush off their suits and
It
get in
was
the car. They're so
absurdism. Yeah.
dirty in the end of this movie. It's so
Oh.
beautiful.
And how is it? So Steven Spielberg
Yeah.
ends up being the guy that works at the county. He's like the county clerk.
And Frank Oz is in that.
Frank
as one-
Oz is
yeah.
in there. He's the cop. No, he's the cop in Trading Places.
he's the guy that checks them out in the jailhouse.
Yeah, but
the warden.
Frank Oz is in this, and
yeah.
Spielberg is he's the final guy. It's
star-studded.
the
I think they had a great
absurdity-
time making this movie.
But
They
the
had to.
absurdity of having like the SWAT team and the army and
Yes.
hup, hup, hup,
Yeah,
hup,
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
Jesus,
It got so big,
yeah.
momentous.
The Ferris Bueller analogy is pretty good.
I think they
It's
kind
pretty
of
good.
took a little from that and
Yeah.
made it that celebration of Chicago like they did in this movie. Yeah.
Another fun absurdism thing is just the National Guard and the entire nation is against them, and then they keep cutting back to the elevator with
And
the
the
girl
music's
from
playing.
Ipanema.
with the
Who is it?
Muzak
Yeah.
playing.
Girl from Ipanema, is that what the song is? Yeah.
That's the song.
Oh,
Yeah, and they
it's
keep
so-
going.
Do,
The movie is long. It's 2.5 hours long, but I realize it's because they draw these scenes out, and it's very artistic
Well,
and
it's
cool.
tension. They built
That's
great
right.
tension.
That's true. That's why.
Landis knows what he's doing.
So, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't picked up on the fact that Jeff and Steve are really into this movie, they've been begging to have this show for this, but it's a great.
If you're an adult in your 30s, 40s, 50s, you've never seen this movie, and you go, "Oh yeah, I've always wanted to see that." Don't watch the second one. Watch this one. It's a perfect movie, and it's a delight.
But
and
the
it's
thing
full
is,
of good themes.
is when you watch it originally, it's a very comedic movie.
Yeah.
But there are such themes of warmth and the
Connection
loyalty and what they will do to save the orphanage
Yeah.
is just it's
It
really
is.
a great show.
It's pretty cool. It's fun. It'll put a smile on your face. And then at the very end, they're all arrested. The national, but they got the $5,000 in. And
Look how Spielberg is pointing at them like nobody knows. All the guns are facing him, and he's standing there. It's a great visual,
and
right
then you
there.
hear the doom doom bop Bob,
Yep.
and then they cut to this scene. And,
Won't to a party in the county jail. Yeah, it's good.
it's never too late to mend, I think is what that says in the back. And then I learned from Dan Aykroyd that they played a concert at Joliet Prison just before it was going to close down. It's now shut down, but it was sort of a full circle moment. And Jim Belushi played Brother Z, and they're still touring to this day. You can see the Blues Brothers play.
Yeah, yeah, and Aykroyd's really dedicated. You know, I've played at Dan Aykroyd's club in Chicago. One of the they're called the Blues
House of Blues.
House of Blues.
Oh, cool!
Beautiful venue, and it's really nice. It's a nice place, and he's just committed to the blues experience. He just really wants people to get it.
Well, and
feel
do you remember the guest that we had on a couple of years ago? The guy Steve Edelman, who wrote the book Nocturnal Admissions about the nightclub business, and he was business partners with Dan Aykroyd.
That's right.
Yeah, they owned a couple of places in Los Angeles and a place in Memphis, and yeah, very interesting. Well, this has been fun.
Well, yeah, I hope
talking
people
about we like to every once in a while like to go a little bit off a script. But, it's a movie that just there's so much more to it than you expect. The cast is unbelievable.
Yeah, it is. The music, phenomenal. The car chases, the sheer chaos of it and the absurdity is so fun.
Yep.
Yeah.
But that's why, as a 10-year-old kid, I loved it, and as an adult, it will not let you down. You won't be like, it's so dumb. It's silly, but it's great. It's really well done.
Yeah.
And the music is incredible.
Someday I'd like to do a show on the, and I don't know what this has to do with the Kindness Chronicles, but all those movies, the Christopher Guest movies, like Best in Show.
Oh, those are great.
Waiting for Guffman. Have you not seen those?
Yes.
I know. I've owned all of them for many years.
They're so good.
I've seen them all many times. Seen most of them in the theater. Yes. They are masterpieces in improvisational acting.
Oh my God!
The kings of improv, kings and queens of improv are in there.
The gay couple in Best in Show.
Yeah, yeah.
When he says, "Just give me a couple of those meat sticks. I just want to hold them for a while." I mean, my God, it's so.
It's
great. The world needs laughter,
right? Yes,
and so to me, that
is the point of this.
And look to the professionals because they will not let you down. Eugene Levy,
in a world of divisiveness, this is the stuff that can bring us together.
We need it.
Absolutely. And with that, Jeff, hit it.
Nice job.
Off we go. I think we should be doing more movies. Brings us together. Not political movies. Good night, everybody.